What's going on, guys? Chaseontwowheels here at Mountain Motorsports in Roswell, Georgia for another motorcycle first ride. In front of me, I have Honda's 2024 Transalp. These guys at Mountain just got this thing in. So stick around to the end of the video to see if this thing is a purchase or pass. And without further ado, let's get to this video and find out what this bike is made for. Let's get into it. So guys, that's what it looks like. That's what it sounds like. Now, before we get started, this video is not sponsored, but it is supported by our website, wbrgarage.com. That is where we build motorcycles and give them away. We are currently building this absolutely awesome 2018 Yamaha R6 into what we're calling an R6M. It has been going fantastic. I love the way it's turning out. So if you guys want a chance to win that, go over to wbrgarage.com, grab some merch, grab a membership. Anything you do over there will get you points to enter it. And then once it's done, we will be giving it away, and you could win yourself a brand new motorcycle. So go check that out. Thank you for all the people that are already over there supporting us. Alrighty guys, that's it. I'm gonna get the phone on the quad lock here, and then we're gonna get this video started. Honda Transalp, what are you? Alrighty friends, let's get this video started. Holy crap, I can flat foot this bike. Did not expect that. So guys, I'm 5'10", got a 32-inch inseam, and I can actually flat foot this motorcycle. Kind of surprised with that. There's our screen. Okay, let's run through the modes real quick. Sport, standard, rain, gravel, and a user mode. Okay, cool. And as we can see, we got this cool little TFT dash. We love that. Apparently there's a way to change the dash, and I don't know how to do that. This bike sounds great. Oh wait, we're in user mode. Crap, we got to start out in rain. Alrighty guys, we are in the right mode. We're gonna get this first ride going on the Honda Transalp. And if you guys are motorcycle fans, we got an awesome Discord for you, full of motorcycle enthusiasts just like yourself. If you guys want to check it out, it's totally free. Links in the description for you. It's just full of motorcycle nerds just like us. If you guys want to join the community, we'd love to have you, and we're off. Sorry, Carmel. Rain mode has way more power than it has any business having. Alrighty, guys, we're here on the Transalp. This thing's been causing a lot of buzz online. Some people are absolutely stoked about it. And Honda also released their Hornet, which is kind of the naked version of this bike. We don't have that in America yet, but we're here on the Transalp. Now, as far as competitors, we are looking at the T7, the V-Strom 800 and the 800DE. I would say the CF Moto Ibex 800T as well. It's gonna be an interesting ride today. You guys know I own a 2023 CF Moto Ibex 800, so it'll be fun. I've been spending a lot of miles on that thing, so it'll be fun to check this thing out. But guys, this is a first ride. Let's talk about the body position. Now, first up, we have a relatively wide seat here, which is really nice. I got plenty of room to move around. The seat is a bit hard. I don't know if that's going to end up being a problem throughout the day, my butt will keep an eye on that for you. And body position wise, my legs are relatively comfortable. They're, you know, only slightly bent back. And then my top half, you know, as you would expect from an ADV bike, my top half very straight up, my arms kind of out in front of me. And I will say, standing up on this bike, the handlebars are in a great place, but I did notice my rear right foot would touch the exhaust on the right side. So I had to scoot my foot up a little bit to make that not touch. So that's something that was going down with the body position, because it is an ADV bike. You are going to be standing up on it. So that's something just to keep in mind. Final thing about body position, I know I'm talking a little bit longer than I typically do, but let me come to a stop here. Now with a 21-inch front tire, I expected this to be more off-road focused, but look how small those pegs are. Like, there's my boot as an example. My boot, like, the peg does not cover my entire boot. So I'm kind of surprised at that. Pegs are a little smaller. I would imagine those things would kill my feet by the end of the day if I rode like all day off-road, but we'll have to see. So if you ride off-road, that might be something to consider, you know, just maybe a peg upgrade. But if you guys don't know, First Rides are a road-only review, so that's the only thing we're going to be doing today. Alright guys, this red light, I always like to change the modes. You know, I want to taste all the flavors of this thing. I'm going to hit that mode button a couple times and put us in standard mode. And if you guys want to see the settings on the right underneath that, that is the settings for standard mode. And yes, you may notice we do have the quick shifter as standard here in America. Now I know in other countries you guys have an accessory quick shifter that you can get. We get it from the get-go. Good for us. So guys, let's talk about city performance with the Honda Transalp. We are on a slightly smaller motorcycle, at least in the confines of an ADV bike. Weight-wise, we're coming in at 428 pounds, I believe. If not, I'll correct myself on screen. But you are going to really see how light this bike is the second you get on it. It's that crazy light that you don't expect to be that light. And 428 pounds, it sounds like a lot. But you start moving this thing around and it very much is not. I will say that 21-inch front tire, the steering's going to be a little slower. It's not going to be as flicky with the steering, but the weight of the bike, leaning left and right, is incredible. This thing is like nothing, and I really do like that. Now, although we do have a quick shifter up and down, which is honestly pretty fantastic for a bike of this price point, you are going to be using the clutch occasionally, especially when you're in traffic. And luckily, the clutch is a relatively light pull on the clutch, so I think this bike's going to do fantastic in traffic. I will note that the throttle is a little heavy. It's got a heavy throttle. It does take a lot to get it twisted and going, which is not what I expected on such a light motorcycle. You get on a motorcycle that is this light, has a light clutch, you would expect the throttle to be kind of light, and it's definitely not. Way heavier than I expected it to be. Let's see if we can get this thing to 0 miles on the dash. I tried this earlier, and this dash is just not one of those dashes that lets you get to 0. I got this thing look at that, 2 miles an hour, my ass. 1, okay, we got to 1. Hold on. We can't do it. Look at that, it was still 1. I was stopped moving for a while, and it was still saying 1 mile an hour. Honda, how dare you foil me in my 0 game. I could probably get it stopped and balance it for a minute, but I want to, like, stay up, and I also don't want to drop this bike. Mountain only got one of these in. I had the choice of riding this and a GSX S 8S, and they got 3 of those. So I was like, dude, I'm jumping on that Transalp. Shout out to my boy Jeff for hooking this up. You guys know I play that little low speed game, and that's one of the things about that 21-inch front tire that makes it a little difficult, and the steering being a little slower. Obviously that tire is so much bigger than a regular tire. That's where you're going to really notice that weight in the handlebars. It's so interesting to have a bike to contrast that with the heavier steering and then the lightweight. You just like flick it around. I will say, typically I would complain about a throttle being this heavy, but I really do feel like it matches well with the torquiness of the bike. We're going to go ahead and go. Get it leaned over. Oh, is this a Honda engine? Oh, I love the torquiness. Oh my gosh, this engine's great. It almost makes the heavy throttle match the engine performance. Does that make sense? Like, the engine is way stronger than I would expect it to be. Really fun, torquey power. The bike sounds great. It's almost like the heavier throttle is trying to hold you back from all the power. It's like, hey, if you're pulling this, you gotta mean it, because you're gonna be going somewhere. I'm surprised that this, if I was, how do I say this? If you blindfolded me and put me on this bike and removed all the badging in the screen and told me to ride this bike around and tell you what manufacturer it is, I would not have said Honda. This engine does not feel like a Honda engine at all. It sounds good, it's torquey, it's fun. This may be the best Honda engine I've ever ridden in. Is that too much to say? It might be. I don't know. It very well could be. Such a fun amount of power. Oh my gosh, why is this car slowing down with nobody in front of you? Alright, so standard mode, city-wise, the bike's feeling fantastic. I love how high up I am. Gives me a great vantage point of what's around me, which makes me feel safer as a rider. City-wise, this thing's great. I'm here for it. The question is the highway, because ADV bikes, you know, people are going to tour on an ADV bike. So the question is, how does it handle the highway? We got to find out. I am very curious. This bike has high expectations that it has to hit. The bikes in its class do a phenomenal job on the highway, and I would hope the same for the Transalp here. And just to confirm, we are in sport mode. Power is full, engine braking is low, traction control is at the lower setting, and ABS is set to on. Still have no idea how to change the screen. All right, this is gonna be interesting, guys. We got a highway pull, thanks to our buddies over at Law Tigers. Let's see how fast she'll go from 40 to 80. All right, green means go, my friends. All right, I think this torquey little thing's gonna do a fantastic job. I cannot wait for this. Alrighty, guys, we're gonna find out how fast a 2024 Honda Transalp will go from 40 miles an hour to 80 miles an hour. Thanks to our buddies at Law Tigers. Let's let these cars get a little ahead. We do have that escape lane that we will definitely be using today. All right, guys, on your mark, get set, go. God, yes! No business being that fast. No freaking business on an ADV bike. Are you freaking kidding me? Yay! That was way better than it had any business being. Sorry, trying to get over that pull. Oh, that was great. Good job, Honda, making an exhilarating engine. What is going on? Alrighty, guys, we're here on the highway with the Transalp. I've got a lot of wind going on my hands. I've got a lot of wind on my upper shoulders. And as far as the wind goes, it's hitting me right in the top of the head. It's bobbling my head just a little bit. We do not have an adjustable windscreen here. I would love to see that as an accessory option at some point. Now, as far as stability on the highway, the bike feels relatively stable, but with so much wind being on my shoulders, I do feel like I'm being kind of jostled around just a little bit, and we're only in 5th gear. Wow. All right, so popping up to 6th gear, more of an overdrive situation. We're going to about 75 miles an hour. Bike feels incredibly stable. There's no real shaking in the handlebars. There's a slight shaking in the handlebars, but nothing I would complain about. Slight shaking in the pegs, but nothing bad at all. Again, the seat's not bad, but if you rode all day on this thing, your butt's gonna feel it for sure. Now, I don't really, I guess, need to talk about it, but power-wise, you've got ample power for the highway. Even in 6th gear, like, you know, RPM'd down, you've still got tons of passing power. As far as a commuter, this thing would be great. I would get a bigger windscreen if that. And probably the biggest fail on this bike to me is that it has no cruise control. I don't know why it's not even an accessory option. I'm sure there's a reason, hopefully, but I really feel like Honda messed up not putting the cruise control on this thing, because if I had cruise control and a bigger windscreen, maybe a comfort seat, Dude, I could ride this bike all day, and I'm really upset that they didn't add that. But guys, I'm gonna finish up the highway section while we listen to a montage. Thanks to our buddies over at Cardo. If you're looking for a Bluetooth helmet communicator, they're the best one. Cardo, play me a soundtrack to finish up the highway. Alrighty guys, thank you Cardo for sponsoring the First Ride series. If you guys, like I said, if you're looking for a Bluetooth communicator, Cardo's the best. And also I got a discount code in the description so you guys can save a little bit if you're grabbing a Cardo, which I highly recommend you do. Let's get her leaned over. That large front tire makes it a little more lethargic leaning over, but the bike feels totally fine leaned over. Going 20 miles an hour. What is happening? Guys, our highway pull-off turn has been terrible lately. The traffic is just not giving what we need it to give. On the camera car run, we did get to hit that turn a little harder, and the bike felt great, you know, get it leaned over. You are in a more low slung position as opposed to being like upright on the bike. So I think that kind of leans in more towards the kind of slow and lethargic lean in. But as far as stability-wise, the bike feels great. The city's where this bike needs to be, though, because that torquey power is just phenomenal. I would never have believed this would have come out of Honda. And by this, I mean this engine. Alrighty, guys, let's talk about this 750cc parallel twin that Honda put in here. Guys, the engine is by far my favorite thing about this bike. It is so fun and torquey down low. And then if you're at a red light and you just gun it, this bike pulls so much longer than you would expect it to. Typically with a little torquey engine, you get a lot of torque and then it would die off. And you get to that point where you feel like the bike's gonna die off on you, and she just keeps on pulling. I love this engine. It's giving MT-07 CP2, but better maybe? I don't know. I don't want to go crazy with saying that, but I love this engine. It's fantastic. You're looking at 90-something horsepower and only 55 foot-pounds of torque, but it feels like it has so much more than that. It's absolutely great. Suspension-wise, the bike's been fine. You got about 8 inches of suspension travel in the front and about 7 in the rear. As far as all this road riding goes, the bike's been a little soft, and you do have adjustability. I believe it's preload in the front and the rear, so you can adjust it a little bit, but the suspension being a little soft, though, has been fantastic on the road. Makes it for a real comfortable ride. But I would imagine if you're going to do some serious off-roading, you might be, wanting to do a little more suspension adjusting. Now, the quick shifter, something that us Americans get. It's awesome that we have a quick shifter on this bike, though I will say it's a little abrupt. When you click it to go into another gear, you can feel the whole bike going into that gear. It's nothing like really smooth, but you know what? I'm not going to give them a lot of knocks. It's only a $10,000 motorcycle and it got a quick shifter. I'm happy with that. Regardless of how smooth it is, I'm not going to really complain that much about it. Gearing wise, I've loved the gears. It's really let me play with going all the way up through that power. I think Honda absolutely nailed it with the gearing. And then the braking, not bad. It's not crazy braking, but this bike doesn't really need a lot of crazy braking. And even with the braking amount that it has, the bike does dive quite a bit. It gets a little unsettled if you really just slam on the brakes. Like I said, it does have ABS, so they're not going to lock up on you or anything, but the suspension just gets really wobbly, like when you're rocking back and forth coming down from that heavy braking. All right, guys, let's talk about the cluster up here. You guys can see part of it is blocked by my quad lock here, but that's okay. Now, very different than a lot of Honda in the past. Honda in the past, buttons are massive. You guys can see the starter is a regularly sized starter. Love that. Love seeing it. Love the material as well. And then on the left side, obviously, we have our dial that we use to control the screen that we'll talk about here in a minute. Honda went with a very interesting little sliver dial that's just that sliver, and you can go up and down and then left and right. Really interesting. Mode button changes are very simple. It is literally, you click that mode button and it cycles down through the modes. Highest mode, like power-wise, is here, and it goes down and then it resets over. All the buttons feel really good, as you would kind of expect. I think we have that expectation from Honda that everything should feel decent. It absolutely does. Now, moving on, let's talk about the grips here. The grips are fine. I don't necessarily have a problem with them. I would probably get a different set, personally. And then we have the levers. We got an adjustable brake lever and an adjustable clutch lever. That's great. I do kind of wish they were blacked out, but I like their positioning. I got no problem with them. Moving on to the screen. Guys, we got a color TFT from Honda. I'm happy with that. I will say that the user interface, in my personal opinion, is a little, I don't want to use the word archaic, but it just looks old. It's really giving me Manila computer. But you know what? It's got a color screen. I've got all the information on there. I will say, supposedly you can change the layout, but I've been messing around with it and I can't figure out how to do that. So here's my thing with that. I know a lot of you guys in the comments are gonna be like, well, Chase, you could just look up how to do it and then you can figure it out. And that's true, 100% I could do that. But what I like to do is I don't want to look into it because I want to see how like user-friendly the screen is. Kawasaki in the past have been terrible about this, and Honda isn't amazing at it. I can't figure out how to change the screen, so that gives me a couple knocks on the usability, the ease of use with the screen. Overall, the screen's fine. I do think the kind of dash area is, I don't know, it kind of looks cheap, if I'm going to be honest. It's got all this like plastic going on here, and you guys can see how much room is up here. Yet we have this tiny little screen, which it gives a little cost effective. I do appreciate that they have you a plug here that you could cut out. You might not even have to cut that out. It feels rubber. You might be able to pop that out and put like a little charging unit there if you were going to install like a GPS or a phone charger or something like that. So that's cool that that's included. But I don't know, the rider perspective here just is not as expensive looking as I want it to be, I guess. Look at that. You hold the function button. Maybe that takes you into a menu thing. Nope, that changes the settings on the bottom. I don't know. I'm sure one of you geniuses in the comments will be like, Chase, all you have to do to change the interface on the screen is click this button, hold this button down 3 times. Then if you rev it 4 times and then click the brake once, it'll change. Oh my God, a little leaf storm. Now guys, you guys that have been fans of First Ride, y'all know, y'all been looking at that beautiful camera car footage thanks to our sponsors, but I'm going to pull off out here and do a little walk around of the little ADV bike from Honda, the Transalp. Since we have the black and red model, which does fit the channel colors, I do appreciate that. We're going to pull off up here and check this thing out. Do a little walk around. I keep wanting to use the dial to turn, but the turn signals are underneath it. That is an issue. It is an issue for me. It may be an issue for you. But there's arrows here and there's arrows here, so I'm like, what arrow do I go with? And granted, I know where the signal is, but my finger wants to go there. It has a mind of its own. Oh, trees are changing colors, fam. Another year of First Rides are coming slowly to a close. Let's get her tight turned, boys. Boom. Crazy that I can flat foot this thing totally fine. There we go. Alrighty, guys. Let's get her turned off and let's do a little walkie walk. Honda, 2024 Honda Transalp. Look how tiny that light is compared to the size of the entire motorcycle. It's crazy. Alrighty, guys. So, as you guys can see, we've got a really hardcore metal handlebars back here. Gonna be fantastic for passengers. Huge exhaust. You guys can see how close that heat shield comes to the peg. That's what I was talking about. My foot would be touching that. And I'd have to move my foot up some. A real beefed up engine area. If I understand correctly, the Transalp has the same frame as the Hornet does, except they've beefed it up a little bit. Obviously, this bike's going to be going over more than the Hornet, hopefully. So it's got to be able to take that and it has a different subframe, wider subframe to handle passenger and luggage if you want to do that. One of the cool things that Honda is doing with the Transalp is, having just launched it, they've already got a ton of accessories that you can get for this bike. I know I've seen crash protection, I've seen luggage, I've seen hand guards. So it's really cool that from the get-go they're offering all types of options for it. And I think that's helpful because I'm not really sure what this bike is supposed to be. I see a 21-inch front tire and I'm like, cool, off-road, right? 21-inch front tire, it's bigger, helps you get over obstacles better. But the bike seems to be very road-focused. So is Honda making us a platform of which to modify to really make it our own? I don't know. They didn't give us cruise control, so it's definitely not a super touring bike, even though it would be great with an adjustable windscreen and cruise control. This thing would be phenomenal, so I'm not really sure. You guys can see at the bottom we've got plenty of ground clearance to, you know, do your off-roading, so it's like good there. Look how low slung that seat is. That's really helping you have such a tall, big motorcycle, but still having the flat-footed ability here. If you notice how wide the seat is, it gets really thin up here. If it didn't do that, there's no way you would be able to flat-foot it. And then as far as the gas tank, it has a 16-liter gas tank. I'll put the actual amount there. And it's a Honda, so you know it's going to be good on gas. That's one of, you know, Honda's things. But overall, guys, I'm not sure where this bike needs to live. It doesn't seem to be as off-road focused as the Tenere 700, but it doesn't seem to be entirely road focused because that's their other 500 thing. I don't know. Kind of weird. So guys, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab my phone off my quad lock. Shout out quad lock. If you want a discount on a phone mount, it's the best phone mount. So I'm going to get on my phone. I'm going to record some stuff for our fans over on Instagram and TikTok with the vertical stuff. If you guys are over there, make sure to follow us. We're at Chaseontwowheels on TikTok and we're at C2Pics on Instagram. I'm going to film some stuff for those guys. I'll be right back. Alrighty guys, that's it from my vertical friends. Now, we got to figure out, is this bike a purchase or pass? And do a steering stem lock test. Ugh. Love the way this bike sounds. Alright, steering stem all the way locked. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's that upper 35 percentile, fam. Alright, Transalp, purchase or pass on you. Oh no, a car's coming in. I need to quickly go. Whatever will I do? I will use a parallel twin. Traction control couldn't even stop it. Front wheel was like, hello? Oh my god, I love this engine. I can easily say this engine is in my top 5 favorite engines. Off the rip. 755cc parallel twin from Honda. You are great, and I love you. Alrighty guys, purchase or pass. This is hard. The things I appreciate is the lightweight of the bike. It has traction control, it has rider modes. I appreciate all of that. I love the engine, as you guys can have plenty been able to tell. I'm going to go pass on this bike only because I don't know what it's for. I don't want to tour on it because it doesn't have cruise control, and you guys know I really love cruise control. I love going to the mountains, but I hate riding to the mountains, so I love having cruise control to get me there and just touring in general. Cruise control is an absolute must. I do appreciate that Honda has a ton of OEM accessories that you can get for the bike. That's fantastic. Now, I don't know how it does off-road. You know, maybe put a knobbier set of tires on it and you've got gravel mode, so it's got the modes there, but it just, I don't know, it's not giving full-on 50-50 or 60-40 like the T7 does. This bike confuses me, but it does so many things incredibly right. I just don't know where we're at, so because of all that, I'm going to go with a pass. Now, is this a phenomenal motorcycle? Absolutely. I think it sounds phenomenal, and that's not even considering the fact that it's a Honda. typically Hondas do not touch my soul at all. They are utilitarian tools that do a job. This might be one of the first few Hondas that actually gets me excited. The way it delivers power with the throttle and the engine, and the way it sounds when it's delivering that power is very non-Honda, but I love it. I absolutely love this direction, and it makes me want to try out a freaking Hornet so bad. Okay, so the question is, like, who is this bike for? Generally, I feel like this is just a great all-around motorcycle. It's only 10 grand. You can do just about everything you'd want to do on this motorcycle. It's a great everyday bike to have. You could do touring, you can do off-road. Wouldn't do a track day with it, but God, that torque would be freaking awesome. I don't know, guys, just a general bike to have that you want to have a really good time on. This might be one of the more ideal commuter bikes. Cost effective, it's a Honda, it's upright, comfortable seating position. You can get the luggage and just, commute to work. You probably put 100,000 miles on this thing and it wouldn't blink at you. And guys, before we get out of here, big shout out to Mountain Motorsports. That's the dealership I started at. That is who allowed me to ride this motorcycle around. So if you're looking for a motorcycle in the North Georgia area, they got tons of dealerships with tons of inventory. Find you a bike, go sit on it, go check it out. Shout out to those guys. We'll have a bike provided by link in the description down below. And guys, that's all I've got for the Transalp. Now here's what I'm going to do. One of its competitors is the CF Moto Ibex 800T, my own personal bike. I'm going to leave a link to my Ibex first ride here at the end of the video. You guys watch that and tell me which one you like more. I think I'm more partial to my Ibex, but I wish that engine and the throttling I could take from this motorcycle. But guys, I'm Chaseontwowheels. You guys ride safe out there. And if you made it to this point in the video, you're in the outro crew, put OC in your comment down below. And let me know what you think this bike is for. Like, what do you think type of riding you should do on it? I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.